welcome to Variant Edition, your first weekly show about comics and comic culture. I'm Mike.
I'm Lewis.
And today we've got our regular bits of reviews and goodness coming down the line.
Yeah, we do. I got my review. You got some reviews. Nick's got some reviews. We got a ton of other good stuff.
Kevin's got an interview.
Kevin's got an interview with Khary Randolph. Really cool artist. Upcoming Spawn animated stuff. Looks really cool.
And as per usual, you know, it's going to be a great show. But Mike, what's going on with the statues?
Oh, well, we got a couple different things, and we got this guy here. We'll see you soon.
Can't wait to see that piece later, Mike. Also, later in the show, we'll have Kevin's Behind the Counter. But first, here's Nick with the news.
Hi, I'm Nick, and this is the news. With the New York Comic Con less than a month away, we thought that we'd like to take a look at this year's lineup. Unless you haven't been paying attention, you probably know already that the second annual New York Comic Con is already shaping up to be the biggest comic book convention of the year, to be surpassed only by this summer's San Diego Comic Con. Convention organizers have already announced most of their guests of honor, including Stan Lee, Brian K. Vaughan, Paul Dini, Stephen King, George Perez, Mark Silvestri, Jeff Smith, and J. Michael Straczynski. With less than a month to go, don't be surprised to see a few more names added to that list. In addition to the guests of honor, expect hundreds of comic professionals to appear. Top Cow has announced that in addition to Mark Silvestri, fans can expect to see X-Men Phoenix War Song artist Tyler Kirkham, Witchblade writer Ron Mars, writer Frank Thierry, and Witchblade co-creator David Wall. The Top Cow booth will have signings with all their guests and will make exclusive variant covers available to the attendees. Top Cow will certainly not be the only publisher with an impressive lineup. Marvel and DC Comics have yet to formally announce their lineup, but Oni Press jumped out of the gate early when they announced that Stephen Colbert, the Emmy Award-winning host of The Colbert Report, will make an appearance in support of his new comic miniseries, Stephen Colbert's Tech Jansen, Alpha Squad 7, a Tech Jansen adventure. Colbert will only be there on Friday, so anyone planning on dressing up as a bear better keep that in mind. While the full program of panels and activities won't be live on the New York Comic Con website until the 31st, con organizers announced that Frank Miller and Michael Uslan will headline a panel on Saturday. The panel is titled Will Eisner's The Spirit. Uslan is the producer of the upcoming The Spirit movie that will be adapted and directed by Frank Miller. We got a chance to sit in on Miller's panel last year, and you can be sure that we'll be there on Saturday. We'll have more on the upcoming con activities and panels once the full list is released. Check out nycomiccon.com for more information, including a list of publishers and retailers that will be attending. Don't forget to check out Artist Alley section to see if your favorite artist might be attending. Our advice, get there early and be prepared to wait in line. Also on display at the New York Comic Con will be 79 of the Ultimate 100 covers. The Hero Initiative, the first ever federally chartered, not-for-profit corporation dedicated strictly to helping comic book creators in need, has teamed with Marvel Comics and the industry's top talent to create 100 covers for Ultimate Spider-Man number 100. Marvel provided copies of the landmark issue with a blank cover. The Hero Initiative then contacted more than 80 artists to participate. Each artist was provided with the blank-covered comic, and the results are spectacular. The 100 unique and one-of-a-kind hand-drawn sketch covers will be auctioned off, with proceeds supporting Hero's effort of providing a financial safety net for yesterday's creators who may need emergency medical aid, financial support for essentials of life, and an avenue back into paying work. 20 covers will be auctioned at MegaCon, 20 at the New York Comic Con, and the remaining will be auctioned on eBay starting in March. The list of artists that they have participating is nothing short of amazing. I can't wait to see these covers on display. So that's it for the news. I'll be back later in the episode with some reviews, but up next is an interview that Kevin did with Khary Randolph back at last November's Big Apple Comic Con.
Kevin back here again. This time I'm with Khary Randolph. Khary's done work for Marvel, DC, Image, animation. I mean, he's been all over the place. And as you can see, he's got a really cool style. Well, he's got a couple of styles actually, but we'll get to that in a second. So tell us, where did you get your start in comics?
Well, I did some independent stuff myself. Right after school finished, I went to the School of Visual Arts in New York, and I got my official start at Marvel on Spider-Clan. It was a manga version of Spider-Man, and that was back in 2003, I believe.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first time I recognized. I remember seeing your name.
Yeah, it was Scotty Young's book, but he had to bow out of issue 5 so we could do Human Torch. So I took it over from him.
And you definitely have, I'm not going to say you have a style that's like his, but it's sort of a similar, open, more of a cartoony animation kind of style.
We're both very heavy into like cartoons, animation, and just movement, energy, and action. So we kind of, it blended well.
Yeah, and I have to say, a lot of your pieces do have a lot of movement in it. You think that is from your, I don't know, focus or interest in animation?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, I came up really big on just, like, I love Disney. I love manga to a certain extent. I mean, I just love animation, and when I draw, I like picturing it like a cartoon. So when I see every panel like as a frame from a movie, and so that's how I try to approach it.
But at the same time, I've seen some of your work, and it doesn't always have that very, blatant animation style to it.
No.
And you have some diversity in your work.
Well, yeah, I mean, I came up, before I was doing comics, I was doing licensing artwork. So basically, with that kind of stuff, you have to be able to draw in a lot of different styles. And so what I do is I tend to try to fit my style to whatever the job is. So whatever they ask of me is what I try to focus on. So if it's a more realistic thing, then I'll do that. But I mean, my number one thing though is like cartoons and comics.
Do you think that's one of your strengths as an artist?
I'd hope so. I mean, it's what I'm striving to be, go towards. So,
walk us through some of your previous work, where some people are going to know you from besides Spider-Clan.
Okay, well, comics-wise, I've done Spider-Clan. I did an issue of Peter Parker's Spider-Man. I did a few issues of New Mutants. I did a book called Mutant 2099 from Marvel.
Yep.
For DC, I've done a few issues of Teen Titans Go. Let's see, Image, I do covers for Noble Causes. I did some work in Invincible. And I've done a lot of licensing artwork for like Ninja Turtles. I worked on Hellboy, the cartoon. It goes on. There's more stuff, but you get the gist of it.
I've heard from some other artists that there's almost more money in the licensing and the production side than in the actual comics themselves?
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, comics is a great hobby of mine. I love it. It's my passion, but a lot of times it doesn't really pay the bills like I'd wish it would. So, the licensing stuff, I mean, it pays a lot more, and so it's not as fun, but you gotta pay the bills. So,
You say you want to do everything yourself. Is that something we're going to see? Like, what have you got, coming in the future?
Well, eventually I'd like to do my own creator-owned thing. That's not happening just yet, but I'm hoping within the next year or so I can make that happen. In the meantime, I'm still focusing on a lot more on animation, really. I have a few projects coming up. I can't talk about all of them just yet, but I do have one cartoon called Chaotic, which is coming out early next year in 2007, and that'll be on Fox, and I did a lot of character design for that.
Nice. And then, similar speaking, you did the online comic for Spawn X.
Right. Yeah, that was a thing. Nick Frontline's people came to me and asked me to basically do a comic book to accompany the new toy line they're doing, and so that toy line's coming out, I think, the end of this year.
Yeah.
And the comic book, it's online now, but it'll be printed January.
Cool. So check it out now. Buy it later.
Yes.
All right. Well, Khary, thank you so much.
Thank you
for taking some time.
No problem.
And we'll be looking forward to those announcements on the animation project soon.
Definitely.
X-Men number 195. I have never felt this lost while reading a comic. I have lost touch with all of my X-Men knowledge. I am totally lost. There's a guide. He's got a gene lab with tissue samples that are irreplaceable. He's kidnapped a Rogue, and Cable's involved somehow, and there's Iceman and a couple other characters like Sentinel and some other chick who I don't know her name. Well, I think it's Callisto or something like. No, it's not Callisto, because Callisto's a the thingy. But yeah, no, it's all these different characters going on. I have to now go back and apparently read X-Men number 1 through 194 to catch back up on this entire series, because I'm lost here. I did like what I read in this book, and I did enjoy the artwork. It kind of brought it back to a little bit of old school X-Men, but with a new twinge on it, which makes absolutely no sense to me now that I've heard myself say that. But it's a great read, great art. I'd say pick it up. If you're not reading X-Men, start reading X-Men, probably in a couple issues when the story arc is over. Otherwise, you'll be like me and you'll be totally lost. But yeah, I liked it, and I'm going to read this arc. So more on that later.
So I got 2 quickie reviews I want to do right now. Zombie vs. Robots number 2. Buy it if you like Ashley Wood's art. Don't even have to bother reading it. It's kind of a letdown. It's just things get blown up, but yet some things survive. The art was good. The other book that I got was called Maintenance. Now this, I saw it, the cover looked cool, the style for the art looked cool, the basis for it was nice, where it's just these 2 guys are like janitors at this big building that build for evil scientists. How they get funding to support evil people, I don't know. All I gotta say is, I think this comic needs some of its own maintenance.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Mike.
And I'm Jen.
And we're here with Variant Edition for the Toy and Statue review for this week here. And we're going to start with this here at the bottom of the barrel. This is a DC Direct Museum Quality Superman statue, quarter scale. And this is like a $300 statue. This is meant to compete with the Sideshow quarter scale. They're doing the outfitted thing. But these guys really gotta...
Yeah, they really sorely missed the mark on this one.
I mean, this museum was condemned due to neck length in my book. I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of problems with it. For how much I don't like the outfits on the Sideshow ones, I like this outfit a lot less. This makes me like the Sideshow outfits more.
It's so poorly constructed. I mean, it looks like they just kind of stapled the cape onto his shoulders. The seam problem, it's even worse on this one.
I guess the idea with the face was that they're going with the look with the guy from the new Superman movie. But it don't look like no Superman I know. And really, the neck is like way too long. There's something wrong there.
And his shoulder blades, I might point out, looks like he's going to grow wings and take flight.
He's just odd. He's just an odd proportioning. You know, I mean, they tried to make the boots look leatherish, you know, in the sculpture, which that kind of works.
But they look very plasticky, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they really look like a really bad styrene plastic cast of it.
Yeah, he's pretty rough. I mean, if you're a big Superman fan and you're looking to get a real nice big Superman piece, that's one thing, but he lets me down big time. DC
base
Direct,
is nice.
Yeah, the base is all right. DC Direct's been doing some real nice stuff lately. I don't know, guys. You better...
I mean, if you want to pay $300 for a base and make a big diorama, I guess that's okay, but...
Yeah, he's tough. He's
tough.
No. All right, we'll be back with another one.
All right, next review for this week was Punisher War Journal issue 3. And you saw last issue, Punisher joined Cap's Secret Avengers. Cap kind of reluctantly took him on, only as kind of like an excessive, more muscle as to being a part of the whole big picture in Civil War. So this issue picks off where he's part of the Secret Avengers. They him and Cap go out. They infiltrate a whole bunch of Stark buildings, gathering intel, schematics, blueprints, all that stuff. To break into the facility where Tony's holding all the superpowered people, villains, and whatever. So it's a really good issue. You also get a cool glimpse, a flashback of Frank in his early Army days, and this might be before the Bourne mini that Garth Ennis did a while back, which is great. And you see the whole reason he joined the Army was someone related to Cap. He joined because of Cap's great ideals and just his leadership. But it's weird because Cap was training him in hand-to-hand combat. He wouldn't hit him because of, I guess, just the pride, the amount of pride and what Cap represents. Even in sparring, he didn't want to just touch the guy, which relates to the issue of Civil War that Mike reviewed a couple weeks ago, where Cap was just beating the crap out of Frank for having shot two villains for trying to strike a deal with Cap, and Cap just beats the living life out of him, and he wouldn't throw a swing for anything. So that was a really cool flashback. And so, obviously, later on in the issue, Frank is kicked out for killing those two villains. And the guy he's kind of in cahoots with takes him to this off-base shield storage unit where there's a whole bunch of weapons and armory. So you see Cap in his regular not Cap but Punisher in his regular settings. So this issue is basically a setup of of Punisher setting up his territory, marking his territory, and getting ready to take the Marvel U by storm. And you see him starting by just literally beating the life and blasting Rhino. So this is a really great issue. I love the art. I love the way Ariel Avetti paints Cap and Punisher, just really masculine, massive guys. It's really great, and I can't wait to see where the Punisher goes from here.
So Miss Marvel #1, this is a one-shot deal, and I gotta say it was actually one of the first comics that have actually kind of recharged my batteries for Miss Marvel. I'm not a big Miss Marvel fan, but this one kind of brought it back to what I liked about her when I did like her. It brought back Binary. It's a great story if you guys want to look back on it, or you can just buy this one shot and you'll be kind of caught up. It kind of goes on. Carol Danvers wrote this book called Binary about her exploits when she was, binary and the, universe flying around. And there's this boy whose name I can't remember at the moment, but whatever he reads becomes reality. So he's got a very Scarlet Witch power going on. He can change anything he wants to. But when he reads a book, it kind of changes everything around him into what's going on inside that book. It's an interesting story, but it just brought back Binary, and I really like Binary. So Miss Marvel #1 one-shot here. Check it out. It's a great read.
Okay, here I am again with Anita Blake's Vampire Hunters Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton. Kev told me I should give it one more shot, so here it goes. It's a little bit better than it was last time. Art's maybe a little bit better. Not much. Still got the same flaws. Still got the same, character flaws with Anita Blake. She's still got a very large can. You could use these thighs as a trampoline and jump on them all day, and she wouldn't even know the difference. That's how big they are. And it's a real shame because it's not continuous. If she just had those big thighs from the beginning of the book to the end, hey, who could say a word? But it really varies from page to page, from scene to scene, and that's pretty tough. Me as an artist, I look at it and I say to myself, I can draw this a lot better. And that's what's really turning me off about this book, I look at a book artistically and say, I'm a pretty decent artist. This book is just not making a cut for me. The story is great. I love Laurel K. Hamilton's style. She's a great author. If it were me and this were my story, I'd be a little ticked off because it's just not pushing the envelope of where her story should be and how it should be illustrated. The story picks up where we left off. Anita's escaping from the Circus of the Damned. She meets a vampire, Valentine, who she met once before. Goes into a little bit explanation about why she's so scarred, why he's so scarred. They had a great big battle. He got sprayed with holy water. She got her arm almost bitten off. You meet another character, Edward. He was a mercenary for hire kind of turned vampire hunter. He can get her any kind of weapon she needs for hunting vampires, and all he asks is for a little information in return so he can, in turn, kill some more vampires. She meets up with her friend. They discuss the day's happening, and that's how it ends. This one is really kind of lackluster for me. Yes, there are some nice backgrounds, but, there are other books that are more beautiful. Matter of fact, in a little while, I'm going to talk about another vampire book, so you really should stay tuned for that. Drain. It's an awesome book, but I'll get into that after I'm done with this. Should you check it out? If Kev forces me to read the next one, I will. I'll review it. Maybe it'll get better. I hope. Not sure, but check it out if you want. If you don't, that's fine too.
So, Ghost Rider #4, the finale. The finale that started years ago. This is the ending to a Ghost Rider story arc that never finished because it was slated for cancellation at number 93. And number 94 was supposed to be the last issue. It never came out. What we have here is great because this ends my old Ghost Rider series. And if you're an old school Ghost Rider fan, you're going to love this. They brought back Texiera to do the artwork. So the first half of this comic is all nothing but Texiera goodness. The second half switches over to Javier Solteres, and again, a good Ghost Rider guy. What I also enjoy about this is that the first page here, it's got a breakdown of the characters that are inside this story, and it's also got a catch-up on what previously happened, because obviously not all of us can remember from like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however long ago this book came out. It's just a great way to catch up on your old Ghost Rider goodies, and like everything's in here, and the story is just great. Ghost Rider, defeats Darkheart or Blackheart or whatever the guy's name is, the demon guy who ended Mephisto. Anyway, you got Ghost Rider taking charge. killing him, becomes Lord of the Dark Realm. So now Ghost Rider is the ruler of Hell, and the brothers, Johnny Blaze and his brother, they don't have to worry about being controlled by the Ghost Rider spirit anymore. It kind of frees them, and now you got Ghost Rider in charge. Now, the second half of this comic, I guess, was like supposed to be Ghost Rider number 95. Kind of explains what Ghost Rider does differently in the Dark Realm. And one of the first things he does is that he gives all of the demons, freedom of choice. You guys do what you want to do as long as, one rule, one law. You can't break this law. Don't do anything evil. Demons not doing anything evil. That's kind of not cool, which is why an angel shows up. Uriel, who is an old school guy who set up all the laws and rules of hell and heaven and everything else. And Ghost Rider says, no, you are banished from my realm, and my law, because I'm the king here, stays. Wow, what a great way to end this series. I can think of no better fun ending that you can do to this comic. You got a king who frees all of his demons, gives them the right to choose, and they're not just servants anymore. They actually do have independent thought, and he's going to make a democracy out of it. And really great story here. I would say pick this up and then go to like comic book stores, the dirty basementy ones like Kevin was telling you about, where you're not going to get any help. Last episode, yeah, check that out. And find all the back issues. This was a great series, and Tex, I love you for doing this, and thanks for having me back. And also, Solteras, thank you again for completing it and ending it with number 95. Great logical closure point. Thanks, guys.
As you all know, Marvel's been doing really nice, big phone book size newsprint paper, black and white art of their essentials, of any of the long stories that they've been going on. What they've done recently is they've introduced the Marvel horror comics from like the 60s and 70s into the Essentials line. And one of the things that I picked up was the Essential Tales of the Zombie. This story, for those of you who are, into zombie comics like I am, and are kind of getting tired of, there's another outbreak, these people are trapped, these people are doing that, the military's coming in doing this, zombies are getting shot, and you're getting kind of tired of that, check out Tales of the Zombie. It's a nice, interesting little romp, and it's not your typical, viral zombie. They're voodoo zombies. This guy is brought back from the dead because of this talisman and these ancient voodoo sayings, and he wears this talisman. Whoever holds the other talisman gets to tell him what to do. So you get all these shady bastards from New Orleans and all this other crap from not the red light district, but you know what I mean when I mean New Orleans. So they get the zombie, and they're telling him, go kill that guy, he owes me $5. Go bring me this chick, I'd like to have my way with her. And the zombie just does it, but he gets caught up in all this other stuff in between. It's a really nice story. Well, not just one story, it's a bunch of stories. One of the best was in the beginning, which was, I think, the precursor to Tales of the Zombie. But it was just it was a nice start for what voodoo zombies are all about. And this one guy finds out that somebody who's after him brings back a zombie. So he's like, oh crap, what do I do? You fight fire with fire. Someone's coming at you with a zombie, you get your ass your own zombie. 1960s mentality. They're great stories, nothing too in-depth, and it's, despite the fact that it's old, it's something new and refreshing from everything else that's out there. Definitely check it out.
Hey, how's it going? Now this one, we got another DC Direct.
This is your JLA cover-to-cover Superman statue. And how many were there? 3,000, I think I said? 3,000.
He's nice. When you first see him, you may think he's a little too angular, but if you see the cover, he really looks like the artist's style. It's actually quite nice.
It is very nice.
It's somebody saw him and said, but he's got a chin beard because he's got that little, but that mark is on his chin in the artwork. It's really a nice piece, especially if you like Superman. He's in a classic just kind of flying pose,
yeah.
But it works as opposed to that other Superman we looked at was in, I don't know what, Steppin', I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's nice.
And he's a nice scale, too. He can fit on any shelf. And if you don't have a lot of room, he's a perfect Superman for you.
Yeah, he's real nice. You guys should check him out if you're a Superman fan. I like him a real lot.
All right, guys. Next review, Frontline issue 10. We got the debut of Penance, but we'll get to that in a minute. You got Sally Floyd and Ben Urich, against the two main writers for Daily Bugle and, her paper. And they think they figured out the true reason behind Civil War is that Tony Stark somehow is manipulating, the stock market, and there's some kind of big money scheme involved that Tony's been planning. Hence, that's why the Civil War started. So that's what they think. I kind of doubt that, given the circumstances of how it started. but then again, you never know. So while they're meeting up in Times Square and discussing this, all hell breaks loose, and you got Daredevil avoiding Venom. You got the new Thunderbolts make their first appearance right there, and they're trying to capture Daredevil, so all kinds of stuff is blowing up. You got debris flying everywhere. They're almost killed by like this flying car that almost lands on Sally Floyd, which is really almost funny. So they're just sitting in the train station trying to figure out what's going on. They're just trying to collect themselves. And Ben says this really funny line where it's just kind of like, he starts laughing, and Sally's like, what's so funny? And he's like, well, it's so funny. We were trying to defend these people, and here we are. We almost just got killed by them. So that was the end of that. It was a really good issue. Nice side story. It was really funny. And also, you got the first appearance of Penance. You got Bobby Baldwin's character going through this metamorphosis where he signs up to be registered, and not only signs up to be registered, but also volunteers to be part of the new Thunderbolts. Really painful process visually, just reading this issue, having him put on that armor with all the spikes, representing all, I forgot how many kids, 600 something in Stamford. So you see him bleeding, just in complete agony, and you see his power surging, all the power lines are going out around him. And I think it was a tinker who made the suit for him, just wouldn't want to help him at all. He didn't want to have anything to do with it. So Bobby forces him to help him put it on, and it's just really grueling to watch. It was a really great side story because now you see Bobby is just like this completely different person, and he's all about making amends in the most harshest way just to make up for what happened in Stamford. So it was a great read. The last issue of Frontline is going to be just really great. You're going to see everything blown up, and I can't wait for it.
Now here's the vampire book that's really worth talking about. This is what Anita Blake's book should have been all along, and it just fell short. This one has gone way above and beyond the mark. It is awesome. One thing I do have to say, don't keep this around for the younger audience because it is very, very adult. And when you're done reading this, you want to be prepared to either take a cold shower or smoke a cigarette. Either one of the two, maybe both, I don't know. This is a very sexy book. It's about our main character, Chinatsu, and she's met up with an old acquaintance vampire. Her name is Freya. They were once lovers long, long time ago, probably around 200 years ago. And why is Freya here talking with Chinatsu? Well, she's a little ticked off. And why is she ticked off? It's that age-old story, want to be a vampire, want to be your vampire lover, that kind of thing. But once she becomes a vampire, now she's, a little pissed at the person who made her a vampire. I don't fully understand it. It happens with all vampire stories. She bought her ticket. She knew what she was in for. I say, Chinatsu, let her crash. But they do go through a nice little, let me say, blouse-busting battle of swordplay and ninja flipping. There was quite a few things flying around there. It's quite interesting. You should enjoy it. I know I did. And, some names are dropped that there might be another character coming along. And right at the very end, Freya takes a nice, lovely bite out of Chinatsu's luscious neck. And that's how the story ends. Now, they give you a little synopsis of what's coming up next. You can expect that the comic to move on and tell you about what's happened with Chinatsu over her past 200 years as a vampire. So I'm really interested to see what happens next, and you should be too. You really want to check this one out.
Hey, how's it going? We're going to look at the DC Direct.
Women of the DC Universe.
Women of the DC Universe. Power Girl. From the art of Adam Hughes. She's pretty nice. She may not be my favorite out of the ones that have come out so far.
I like her. She's going to go in our collection. I believe this one's ours, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And, but, not as nice as the other ones, I don't think.
There's not as much variation in the paint. Like, her flesh is kind of the same. I guess maybe it's a little shinier than her outfit. But there's not, I don't know.
There's not much tonal variety to it.
Yes, and her breasts may look a little bit too fake. I don't know.
She looks like she's got a baby's bottom strapped to her chest.
But,
there are 6,000 of them, so there's plenty for you to pick up.
But I mean, she's nice, and if you're collecting all of them, you kind of gotta get
Yeah,
them.
of course.
And, they're not expensive. Are they $40 around there somewhere? But nice, check that out.
Sure.
Take a look at it if you're into it. If not, pay it no mind.
All right, time for another Behind the Counter, where I take my director's cap off, put that retailer cap back on, and give you a retailer perspective on things. Now, this episode I'm going to do similar to what I did last episode. I'm going to use this opportunity for an advanced review. Everything in the United States, comic world, is superheroes. Not a bad thing, but if it's superheroes, after a while you just can't eat the same thing every day. you want something a little different. I happen to like different kinds of action comics. If you like comic books, you probably like action movies. Well, there's a book coming out from Silent Devil by A. David Lewis, Jason Copeland, and Jennifer Rogers called Empty Chamber. Now, I read the first issue of this, and it feels like an action movie. I think this could be made as one of those big summer blockbuster action movies. It's a lot of fun. Basically, you've got this guy, he's a librarian, he goes to work one day, it's the holiday break, so things are really slow, and he's got to do the overnight, and things start to happen. The guards get taken out, somebody comes to kill him, somebody saves him, and then they escape, and the running begins. Basically what it boils down to is there's some sort of terrorist plot that's going to perpetrate a mass genocide on the United States, and we still don't know yet, but the main character has something or can do something that will prevent this from happening. Great read, very, very exciting. As I was reading this, I was keep reminded that this felt a lot like a movie. Strangely enough, Comflix is going to be doing a few episodes based on these comics, where they kind of like put sound to the pictures, kind of move things around. Very interesting. The Diamond Code is right here. I'd recommend this book. If you're not sure, check out this website where they have a trailer of the comic. It's kind of becoming popular these days. But again, action movie, it's a edge of the seat thrill ride, whatever you want to say. That kind of thing kind of applies to this book. I definitely say to give it a try. If nothing else, if you're sick of superhero comics and you just want, something that's closer to like a movie, check it out.
So that's our show for this week, and what a fun and entertaining show it was.
Big show like always, and there's never a dull moment in this show.
Well, there can't be, with all the comic book news and the comic book reviews and the great statue looks and everything else.
Figures, art, everything.
It's just a great show, and we're very proud of it. And you can watch this great, amazing show at iTunes.com, or you can find us at our website, variantedition.com. You can also check out Google Video. You can find us on YouTube, which we're getting a lot of hits, so how's it going, YouTube fans? And you can also find us on live video.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah, and soon you might see us somewhere else.
Yeah, it's top secret.
If you've got a box.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very
special black box.
Yeah.
Not an Xbox, a box.
Yes.
But not a box.
Anyway, you can contact us the usual way, Mike at variantedition.com.
You got Lewis at variantedition.com, Nick at variantedition.com.
Kevin at variantedition.com. If you want to talk to the Swiss Decks, you can go to statues at variantedition.com. Send them a link or drop a line or whatever you want to do in that email. As long as it's not a nudity picture, you should be okay. Also, if you're a comic book creator or self-publisher, you can email us through info@variantedition.com to set something up. Maybe we'll review your book or to at least take a look at it and tell you what we feel about it. Or very soon you can find us at the New York Comic Con, because we will have a table in the upper level and you guys can come and say hi. The password, if you are a writer, artist, creator, or anybody else who watches our show and wants to come over, see if we can, showcase some of your work, maybe have a sit down with you, it's a secret, and it's what it's going to be is the answer is a riddle. You have to solve this riddle to get the password, and the riddle is, if you've got it, you want to share it, but if you share it, you haven't got it.
Like, that kind of sounds like, I don't know, like STD or like.
It's close, but no.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys have to figure out the answer to that secret code, and then you can come and say hi, and we'll talk to you. Okay.
Also, if you want to catch my, I got this cool thing coming up next week with the Dorian brothers. One of them is also working on a big DC project coming up soon. Don't want to say anything. We'll leave that for next week. But looking forward to that. Definitely catch that next week. It's a great interview. Two great guys and really good artists. We want to keep an eye out for them next year, early or later on this year too. So
you just love the Dorians, don't you?
I really do. They're very masculine guys. Good-looking guys.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off right there because you're going down into the bad territory. Catch you guys next week.
Later.
You just smell? I'm not kidding.
Yeah.